Well, we have a cool challenge today. We're making an arrangement of Mozart's Requiem Lacrimosa for a sports project, and they want it to shift about halfway through. There's like a 60-second span of the visual that we'll be working to. They want it to shift halfway through to hip hop, and the inspiration they had for the hip hop was Jay-Z, which is a bit like late 90s, 2000s, I think, association wise, what people think of when they think of him. So it's a little dated to me and not necessarily what I would think of as like the best possible thing, especially with all the cool new modern sounds that are out there these days. Things that we could do to make Mozart's Requiem Lacrimosa go into a totally different place. And the shift happens, like I said, about halfway through the visuals. Also, it happens when they talk about this space that they're creating where you can go and view a bunch of sports things as being like heaven. So I guess that's why they like the choir thing. They like the maybe feeling behind it. It's a bit cinematic and dramatic and uh, a little dark, but it's also like when you read about it, it's not really a death thing. It's kind of like a celebration of life and like all of life's complexity. And Mozart was writing it as he was dying to be like his own funeral requiem, you know. So, and I'm no history buff, but just reading a little bit about it, you gain some insight into where his head was at when he was writing, you know, what became his final piece. So, uh, I just thought when they said Jay-Z, I was like, I feel like this is just in their mind, they're like, want something that's cool in hip hop, and they don't know what might be a better alternative to that. Anyway, so this will be a fun exercise in showing everyone how to do something that I love to do, which is taking classical pieces of music, finding the sheet music or the Midi online, and making it your own. And Midi is fun as hell to work with. If you're not a notes person or you don't want to transcribe something by hand, most of the time these classical pieces have Midi that's out there that other nerds have made. So you just get to download it and sequence it and program it in your own way. And this arrangement, it's pretty simple, I think. You know, it's going to be like choir, strings, brass, some timpani, maybe some like cymbal swells and stuff. But they haven't liked things that feel too dramatic, and we've been down some routes with them already, like that feel like movie trailers. We've explored things that feel kind of like overly dramatic and maybe a little too emotive. They like starting in a smaller place and growing to a bigger place. And now we know this transition is going to happen like halfway through the thing. So the first part will probably be mostly just the strict arrangement or rearrangement, and then the second part will be where it flips into hip hop or whatever this version of rap, maybe trap, hip hop. I hate genre terms because, especially nowadays, they're becoming less and less relevant. It's more about just make something cool, and the overall energy that's inspiring is what should be moved forward with when you're making your choices. So let's start from scratch. I don't like using templates and stuff, especially more and more as time goes on, because I want everything to always sound a little different, even the orchestra sounds. And I'll import the picture and all that stuff. I think I can't show it. I'll make a second version of the video, but yeah, we're gonna kick this off and just start rolling with it. Sorry if I have to make abrupt edits to get rid of some confidential stuff here. Oh, good, it starts out black. And it doesn't tell you too much. You know what the brand is. You can kind of see some of the visuals, whatever. I probably will let this voiceover play through at some point, but not in the beginning. Um, so yeah, first things first. Mozart, Requiem, Lacrimosa, Midi. Bit Midi. Let's see how this looks. So you just import the Midi into your Logic session, import the tempo information. I'd say that's important. But sometimes it's better to just make something that's, oh, my video audio went away. That's odd. Sometimes it's better to make something that's not tied to a tempo just because you're going to be making it into something that's more contemporary as if it was recorded to a click. But sometimes these nerds, they go in and they make the tempo really nuanced. No, this is just a static tempo. 65 BPM, so they say. So we'll get rid of that little guy there, re-import the video, because that did a little disappearing act. Nice. And then you'll hear how terrible the stock MIDI sounds are, but that's not, it's not a fair thing to even say. I would, they did a great job for us with Nintendo and all that. I mean, the straight MIDI instruments that are nothing compared to our fancy, beautifully recorded sample libraries that are controlled by MIDI but aren't those digital sounds. And these ones aren't actually that bad, the ones that are built into Logic, but you'll see what I mean. So about right here is where they'll want it to transition. I'm just going to start swapping out these sounds. So it's cool because this arrangement came in with all the information about the instruments that you'll be using. So each track, just make a new software instrument track and pull up a new instance of Contact or whatever, sample engine you're using. Spitfire Woodwinds. Corny di Bassetto. I'm not sure. That sounds like a... I'm just going to look up what this is. Corny di Bassetto in F. Thank you, AI. Basset horn in F. Clarinet family. Lower pitch. Bass clarinet, maybe. And I always like to check with MIDI automation to see if there's any weird parameters that are anything other than the note, the velocity, and modulation or expression. Like volume and all that stuff, yeah. Volume, pan, don't need that. Even expression, don't need that. And clarinet, like instrument information, don't need that. And the reason why is because all of that will affect your like faders and stuff, and you don't need things to be uh, fixed by automation that you're going to probably adjust. Levels, especially with these things, they change a lot once you start introducing these types of instruments. I shouldn't introduce the close mics just yet. Let's just use tree mics. Here's this sound. Great sounding winds. My God, like that's just one instrument. I should just, no, I was gonna say I should keep the MIDI version versus the new fancy version in here, but it's not even worth it. You heard the intro playback of just those instruments, and then you'll hear what this sounds like. So we got our bass clarinet, then we're gonna get our bassoon. I think it's next alphabetically. Oh, maybe not. Bassoons. Yeah, we'll keep the solo guy. And I think they've got more than one voice at a time. If there's like single lines of melodic information for the legato modes of these patches, it's fantastic. But if you've got polyphonic voicings like these where you've got overlapping notes and stuff, just keeping it in the long articulation is the way to go. Otherwise it'll drop voices and stuff. And then one thing too, they always have like each MIDI channel is different from instrument to instrument when a MIDI arrangement is made. And I think that's because whatever sequencing program they're using, maybe that's just how they've programmed it. But in Logic, the way that I work, at least, I just keep everything going through channel one, and every instrument's got its setting to be that channel. So when you don't hear playback of audio and then it, you notice that the channel number for the MIDI to be fed into the instrument was not channel one. That's why. And now that it is, you'll see it plays back. Such a cool freaking piece of music, man. Obviously Mozart, but it's cool to learn how these things are arranged, especially like I said, if you're not someone who loves reading sheet music, But MIDI and sheet music do translate, like that they do. You could look at them side by side and go, oh, I can see this part. And then if you have to read sheet music in an environment for whatever reason, and you've had experience with MIDI, it makes it easier for sure. So it's not all uh, lost in translation. I would say it's helpful to even starting with MIDI as you're getting comfortable learning, especially the classics, like great pieces of music like this. It's so nice to be able to just hear it played back and mess with the way that it's performed by affecting the modulation and expression and stuff like we do with sample instruments. Got our trumpets. That's not the most exciting part of the arrangement. Then we'll do our alto trombones. I'm not sure what the alto trombone patch is here. I forgot if this is on. Oh, just in case. Alto trombones. This looks like a one-liner. We might be able to leave it legato Change the channel number to 1. It is legato. And then we might make this guy tenor trombone. Maybe we'll use French horns for that, because I think they could hit that higher register. Yeah. Don't have an alto trombone. I didn't know that was a thing. So let's see. We'll now do tenor trombones. Again with the legato patch on these guys, which is cool. Shaping up. Baritone trombone might just be our bass trombone. Once we change the channel number. Oh yeah, get rid of these guys. So we'll see how this all blends together once we start automating things. But I typically like to do the automation in sections where like the brass will be modulated separately from the strings and the choir and all that stuff, but they do follow similar dynamic movements, obviously, like any orchestral arrangement would, but having a little nuanced variation between the sections just makes it feel a little bit more human. Okay, so now let's get into some strings. It looks like all these guys are singular lead lines, so we'll be able to do legato patches with them, which is exciting. And these ones will be fast to load up also. And I think we want to use like a chamber string sound just to have the more intimate detail there. And then we'll wash it out with some nice reverb sends afterward. So I'm just gonna, again, do all this clutter removal, channel changing, and I'm just going down the line. Violins 1, violins 2. Delete those guys. Oh, there we go. Oh, I duplicated all the notes on accident. Don't want that viola. Get the idea though. I'm sure there'll be a way to automate this one day, just like knowing what the expected outcome is, what needs to be swapped out and queued up or something just by reading the parts like I'm doing. If we could have a little robotic agent go in there and do this, that would be rad. But there are choices to be made in like what sections you're wanting to use. Like I said, chamber strings versus symphonic strings or whatever. So there's, I don't know. It's funny. I get into this like Italian mode. Do we want to be proper in how we're doing the plural of each instrument? Do we care to be that fancy? Why not? I just want to show you guys what this sounds like all together because it's quick to load up each individual part with the strings because they are so nicely laid out in the sample library. That's going to be really cool. And I could hear that. The hip hop thing will definitely not be Jay-Z sounding. It'll be, I don't know. It is what it is in my head. Like tempo wise, we'll find a cool bunch of loops, I'm sure, but like the harmonic content is much more dramatic than like Jay-Z, you know. So it'll be whatever Mozart would probably be least offended by and maybe a little excited by. Let's see. So the choir that I love to use is this choir called Oceana. I've always got it queued up. It's like the one that I find myself loading up manually because it doesn't have one of those built-in like contact interfaces. And in this case, I'd probably just move all these choir parts over, copy them, and then join them all together. You just push Command J, and then it squashes all the voices into one. It should sound great because they all will be most likely placed in the same volume level as each other. And if the voices need to be differentiated more, that's fine. But I don't think they will, knowing what this piece sounds like anyway. And this is without any modulation or anything. This is just what it sounds like. Right now it's got that pan information in there, so we're gonna get rid of all that. I should have done that before. And then want to enable the far mics or jack them up. This is gonna be cool. Excuse me. I'll save these guys just in case we need to differentiate the voices later or supplement them with digital instruments or something. Create a new track stack. So then all we got left is timpani and some organ. That's exciting. And I think I'm going to use the Hans Zimmer organ because Interstellar. And we want just the timpani from the percussion library that Spitfire makes. Wow, I labeled each thing so far. The reason I hit record on all those was because I wanted to mess with the automation, the modulation wheel on here. I've got this thing, proximity, which works really well, but I like to use the mod wheel for stuff like this where it's a bit denser. Get rid of those guys. Interesting. Didn't read those. See, sometimes libraries are sequenced, or sorry, sampled differently than the pitches that are being sequenced. So you just got to check. Like in that case, it was an octave lower than the lowest octave of this sample library. That organ's gotta go. I didn't think so. The Union Chapel organ is the one that Spitfire makes. I think it's called the Union Chapel organ. Sometimes my eyes just go blah, 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 blah. There we go. Of course, it's the bottom. So let's see how this puppy sounds. God, something so cool about an organ, man. So dramatic, but it's so cool. Okay, cool. So yeah, everything's replaced now, and that is the bones of what we'll be working with, and then we'll decide which pieces to use for the arrangement, what we want to like cut out, what we want to move around, mix and match section to section. So I'm going to take a pause here, get back to some putting together presentations and work stuff, and then I will come back for the next steps, but I won't move beyond this point. We'll keep it right here so it's every step accounted for the video. Yeah. Well, I realized I didn't record the frickin' video for my camera on the last part. So hopefully it's not disengaging to have just the microphone audio with what's happening with the visual. But now we're moving on. So I'm gonna let this play back with where it's currently at and just automate in the different sections expression or modulation, I should say. I'm gonna unplug proximity, this little guy, which is rad, but just don't want to use it for this. I'm gonna use the mod wheel built into my keyboard. And we'll start with just the, I think we'll start with the brass, just recording their dynamics and expression real quick. So no need to start from the very beginning, but we'll hear sort of what the, no, actually we'll start with strings because they do start from the beginning. And we'll see how this sounds with them as a section. We might take them individually, part by part, and automate it, but I think it should work as a section. So yeah, just selecting all, clicking the first one, holding down shift, clicking the last one, and then it selects them as a zone. hitting R to arm, record, enable, and all, and then soloing them to just hear them on their own. I'm going to start this back just a hair because I don't have the count in on. That was a little too quiet. A little too forceful. Going past the picture just to get the full thing. Beautiful. So now we'll move on. Maybe we'll do brass next, and then we'll focus on the choir. And no, let's do brass and woodwinds together with the strings. Don't want to hear the choir yet because we'll automate them probably the most, because their volume level is the most drastic in a difference performance-wise. So we're soloing the strings and the brass, only record arming the brass. Turning up my volume. Started way hot, so I'm gonna back that off. Still hot. Let's try this. to do that one more time because our woodwinds were really loud and our brass is pretty quiet. So just want to feel those a little bit more, even at the lower dynamics. Just turned in the volume level of the woodwinds a lot. Yeah. Nice. So a little rough. We just gotta go through and make it sound a little bit more real. And right now it's pretty dry and up front. There's some reverb that's getting sent out to a space, but it's not the space that I'll use for this. It needs to be big and cinematic and grand. So let's dial that in a little bit. Maybe we'll make these into sections. Send the brass and woodwinds into one bus, and we'll call this the winds bus. And then the strings into another bus. Strings bus. And then when we group these together, we'll see what this does to it. Just by giving it a bit more of a washy room sound and some compression. Tame the dynamics. Make it sound a little bit more polished. And then give it some good wash. Like you're in a concert hall. Much better already. And then we'll get this choir in there, which should be a whole other level of expression. Let's just see how this sounds at its current levels with just some modulation like we just did for the other parts. I'm like at like a 2 out of 20 on the modulation scale. So there's lots of room with the choir dynamically, even while its volume level is lowered. It's pretty significantly right now by 8 decibels, 7.6 decibels. So I'm just going to record the volume, the modulation, which is pretty much just volume for this particular patch. That'll do. Yeah, we'll get into some more mixing stuff with that at some point, but for now, just a little compression. And there was a weird timpani thing happening at the end there because I think they programmed in this roll with like a ton of individual notes. Yeah. And we're going to do a real roll because we can. It's just this last bit, it looks like from bar 30 to 32. So I just duplicated the timpani channel and then we'll make that articulation what that channel is doing. Roll. So that's cool. And we just modulate that roll to get louder from the... I think actually actually, it needs to start out like a... So let's try that one more time, now knowing that that's where we're going. Not that loud. Cool, I think that'll work. We'll lower those guys a little bit, and then we got our organ, which didn't hear much of. Something. Oh. It also has modulation, I forgot about that. It's sounding so good. Let's see. I'm gonna start this from the beginning just because we gotta get that expression built in there too. So cool with Picture. More so than I was expecting. I thought it was a weird idea, and we all did internally. Choir's too dry. So we'll weten up that choir a bit. Put on reverb before compression, because that's kind of a cool effect. So cool. I'm not mad at how this plays out in general, timing wise. Like, part of me wants to leave this arrangement as is, uh, just so that I have it, like for whatever else might come up. Um, because it's a decent arrangement. But now we gotta make it hip hop. So what I'm looking at for this picture is halfway through it needs to change, right? And the way that this builds naturally is pretty great up until that transitional point. So choosing the climax is probably an easy thing, knowing that that motif comes back in the main theme and might play out nicely till the ending. And this section here with the picture. About right there is where we could transition to the finale. Or, sorry, not the finale, but like the section that would lead us to the finale. But I like how it continues to build. So I want to try to find a way to just make the very ending come in after the piece of music plays out organically. Because that's cool. Like, there's where it feels like it departs into a section that doesn't necessarily do anything for our storytelling, so I think I'll edit that out and then come back in with the you know, that big triumphant thing. Yeah, so let's take this section. We'll cut everything out before then, and then we'll save this as a new version, obviously, because we want that other one that's the entire thing intact. We'll just save this as edited. And then we'll move this over, try to make this section into something that finalizes with that crescendo that happens at the end there too. And I think it'll happen. Like, again, this departure we don't need. Yeah, we can just start there, I think, and then that'll get us to our ending with pretty much perfect timing. Honestly, moving music around and arranging with Midi is such a godsend, because this would probably have taken who knows how long before. And look at that, the perfect duration almost. Yeah. So now one thing that might serve us well is because we need to make this thing fit a certain amount of time. Maybe we make the tempo a little faster, and maybe that'll be good for, or maybe it increases with tempo, because the transitional point, they want to be about here with this. They say a word in the voiceover that you can kind of see here, and I can't let everyone know yet. That'll be a part of two when I can start making the second half of these videos once things are released. Whether or not I win, it doesn't matter. It's just cool to show the demo process. But after this line is kind of where they want things to transition, and it can. But I'm seeing that as kind of being the point where things really kick into gear. So let's just see how we can mess with tempo and make it do things for us to finish up a little bit more on time. Maybe. Shouldn't be that drastic. Like, when I think of uh, hip hop, I don't think about 65 BPM for sure. but maybe to 75, that neighborhood. And that was a little too fast. So let's try going to 70. Too fast because it ended just a little too soon. Maybe 72? No. Yeah. That seems about perfect. And now let's find some loops. Just see in Splice what comes up at that range. What's interesting here is, to me, it's like we've got a few different things to factor in here. This piece is in 3/4. And it could feel okay to just lay down something that isn't necessarily the right time signature. Let's do a range between 65 and 75. Turn this down. Let's start restarting that. Oh. That actually is pretty cool. And it is very Jay-Z, actually. Just so maybe I stand corrected there. Still, it's gonna get more. Maybe it's the musical side, the harmonic side of things that I was hearing as being just like, this can't just be like a loopy thing. It already isn't a loopy thing. It's got a whole progression written by one of the best freaking composers of all time, maybe the best. Let's just see what happens if we start cheating this in. Like, that's about the moment. We'll see. We'll see. It's not behaving correctly with the whole time thing. So let's try to fix that, whatever's going on there. Almost seems like that's not correct. Let's just see if this is correct. Yeah, that is. Oh. Let's try this and then joining it. Before I say what I just did, I'm gonna make sure that it was the right thing to do. It looks like it might be. Interesting. I'm trying to think about how to like subdivide this. Um, I'm gonna try something. $96. This could be so wrong, but I'm just feeling out what a normal. Let's try doing this at the straight tempo first. Somehow we gotta make this 65 BPM 3/4 time signature jive with something that's 4/4. Interesting. So like my inclination is to go for something, I guess it looks like I was just tapping out the tempo, but like 86 BPM. And I wonder if that will somehow mathematically make sense. We'll find out. Let's just feel it out. I'll figure out the math of why later, I guess, if it works. Oh, it imported as an Apple loop, which is not what I wanted actually. I wanted it to do what it normally does. Or not normally, but I guess what it wouldn't normally do in this case. I'm going to bring it into its native. So many workarounds. I'm probably doing this in a complicated way, but it's going to work if it's the right tempo. just want to bounce it in place as its own thing. I don't want it as an Apple loop. Yeah. So let's see if this follows our... See what I mean? Maybe it was 87 BPM or 88 BPM. But yeah, that's the right idea. So funny. I don't know how to make sense of that. So cool. Mozart might be rolling in his grave, but he might be loving it too. Who knows? I'm sure he's fine. Interesting. So it looks like 86 actually did fit. It just wasn't feeling right to my ear. That wasn't the right one. Oh, let's redo this then. So when I did that other thing earlier that I'm glad I didn't explain because it did work out and it will be better to show in this context. I just split the audio file, Command T, cut it, somewhere, and then join it back together, Command J, and then that makes it an audio file that functions accurately and predictably with the flex time thing. So like now if we were to increase this tempo to 70 like we had it before so that it ends, or I think we had it transition to 70 or about there, yeah. Then the timing of things should play out really nicely and the beat will follow. Let's just feel this out. Great timing. That's great. And we'll find some other things that do something similar. I think they're I love what the organ's doing. Like its bass movement is so fun. So minus those chords at the end. I think that will be our guide for what our 808 might be doing. Boom, 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 boom. So cool when you think about that as like an 808 line rather than a bass melody in a Mozart piece. So let's see, we'll do this, and then for the chords part, we'll just get rid of those voicings at the end there. We know that we don't want reverb yet on that. Sounds like these are all going to be like an octave or two too high. I love that so much. So let's just mess with some other sounds. And this is going to be simple. I think we might, at the end here, treat the orchestra with a bit of a effect to just really snap things into a different mode, and have it be like more separate from the front section. No. Love when my whole place shakes. Now there is a timing issue. We got to figure this out. Maybe we can fix the drum loop. This is interesting. yeah, it looks like that tempo is just a bit wonky, even with the drum loop. And it could be because it's just shuffled and offset, but yeah, in a case like this, I'm not gonna try to overcomplicate it. We're just gonna make it hit when the drum beat hits. Or drum beats hit, I should say. Yeah, funny. This is one of those times where automation isn't necessarily always the easiest solution. Sometimes you just gotta go in and do some adjusting on your own. Especially right now, I feel like there's such a specific mix of things that we're trying to make happen. That whole 3/4 versus 4/4 thing, the tempo differentiation between what the right vibe is for a groove like this with a piece like this. And yeah, when even trying to quantize to quarter notes, eighth notes, or triplets, it was like, nope, it wasn't sounding right. So luckily, this bass line is pretty simple. And I think it'll sound great now that it's going to be hitting with each of these hits of the drum kit that we like. And I think other things that we'll find loop-wise will feel nice with these adjustments also. And again, maybe it's being a little cart before the horse, but I feel pretty committed to this groove. And it is keeping what Jay-Z would do probably in mind. Pretty simple beat. Nothing crazy outside the box. Suits the instruments well. And there's going to be voiceover and all that stuff, so don't want to be too distracting with like trappy hi-hats and stuff. And it does feel a bit swaggy and almost like a strut. It's a little bit like a dark waltz. And the hip hop element makes it super cool. So let's see how this sounds. We just need And now I'm going to bring in my 808 from 808 Warfare, which is another collection of samples for hip hop and pop music that I just love. And it's just got this great overall, well-rounded, clean and punchy. Actually, it's got several great presets for 808 sounds. So let's see. Get out of the Spitfire stuff. Pop libraries, 808 Warfare. Clean 808. This thing just sounds good. And I think the placement, like register-wise, is lower. It's gonna be loud if I don't turn this down. Yeah, lower. So we gotta go up an octave. See what I mean? That's nice. Cool. So let's see if we can find any other loops that feel like it facilitates this well. 86 seems to be like a good BPM for us. And I forget if I did this thing with the tempo ramp, it felt like it did do it pretty well there. So maybe we'll start with the 86 being native, and then we'll see how it does its flex time thing once we get it all aligned. Oh, that's 87. Back to 86. I don't know. That feels like a lot. That could be a really cool lead-in. Might put a little delay on that guy. How fun. What a cool groove. Oh my god. Hip hop is so fun. I mean, I can't even. Yeah, I can't even. Okay, cool. So we'll make this guy its own audio file like we do, and then we'll move this over to here. See how this translates, and yeah, maybe it'll be all right tempo-wise, but I don't know. No. Kind of knew that would happen. So let's try moving this down to our baseline BPM of 65. I think that's maybe what I did. So not the proper way to work with anything, but we'll see. So weird. I don't understand the math there, but it's making sense. It's so weird because it is definitely like I wonder if I were to shift it. Yeah, maybe that will be it. Ever so slightly earlier. So strange. That feels a little cheap to me. I think it's too much drums. So we'll just see about like other things that we could do with the parts that we've got. I'm gonna send all these guys out the same bus. Like I want that to engage once that moment happens and stay on for the rest, and maybe have it sidechain by the beat. And since we've just got that one beat, that should be pretty doable. I'm gonna try this with just some compression that will have also kick on at that same moment. And I'm just gonna solo the beat with the Everything Orchestral bus real quick to figure this out. So we're having our sidechain be this beat. Could be cool. And I think it might need to take a of the melody to come through. And maybe it's a matter of like keeping the choir separate from the rest of that orchestral mix. But something melodic has to be carried through from there. And I don't think we want to add in additional synths or anything like that. There's already so many things that we could use. So let's try sending the choir out of just its own input even during that part. That's so cool. I like it. And I think we gotta turn up this follow. It just won't let me for some reason. Try to find this. Actually, no. We'll just turn this off at the end. And now we need some little transitional things, I think, little effects that aren't necessarily dependent on tempo. And then we'll pretty much be there. Love. Right up to the ending. That bypassing of that effect might not be the greatest there. That's cool. Nice. Same effect there at the end, just for now. Okay, I'm gonna put some ozone on it just to master it real quick. Nice. Okay, cool. I might make that last effect a little bit more muffled. Too crisp. Yeah, just a little subtle feeling. I dig it, and now we might have the orchestra thing at the end there just fade out because I don't like how that's so drastic once it just turns off like that. Love. Cool. So that's our track. I think that'll do a great job, and I wish I could show you guys everything mixed in with the voiceover and stuff, but I think that accomplishes what they're looking for, and I might add in a few little bells and whistles at the end there to make the hip hop section come alive a bit more. But it's building so nicely with the picture, and all the audio that's going to be in the equation is something they really emphasize. So uh, just going to leave that as is for now. Maybe the Jay-Z thing wasn't as far off as I thought it was going to be. And the piece of music definitely helps make it more interesting than what I was envisioning for most of the songs I associate him with, which are a bit more repetitive, which still rad, but like knowing what this was going to be, just didn't want it to sound too that way. But this facilitates it well. And that whole BPM thing was an interesting thing to figure out too. So thanks for riding along with me. And I wonder if there's any other interpretations out there how y'all would approach that. But yeah, we got a cool tempo ramp in here. The energy builds nicely. It flips when they want it to flip, turns into the thing they want it to turn into, and it's still obviously maintaining the integrity of a very beautiful, famous composition by one of the greatest. So cool little demonstration of lots of different weird specific things in this one, and I hope you all enjoyed.